KEMBO, Bana Nzambi, and Mama Ndombe. All KEMBO belongs to them, and we do honor and acknowledge the seven archangels, all the archangels, and the six beings around the throne of our creators, and the 42 judges of the kingdom of Zulu, our elevated Bakulu of the light. We honor them. I honor you. We honor you here on the Zoom who are with us. Welcome. Always great to see you, and we love you. And we welcome those of you on Facebook and on YouTube. Now, before I have a PowerPoint, but before I pull up that PowerPoint, what I would like to say is we had did teaching, I think it was probably a couple sambas ago, where, excuse me, the teaching was the God of the Bible is not our creator, but our creator is in the Bible. And if you have not seen that teaching, you know, I would ask that you will go and look at that teaching. And of course, I had to put up the other video of it, another video, because I had music playing that was playing throughout the video, and I didn't want that to continue. It was kind of hard to hear. So I just put up the video with no introduction, no music or anything like that. But what we're going to talk about today is still going to point out that the God of the Bible is not the creator, our creator, but our creator is in the Bible. And with that said, I want to say, you have heard me often speak about where in scripture it says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. That is a key thing that we must hold on to and remember, because we are created in the image of our creators. We have the spirit of Tata Nzambi. Therefore, we are the original man. So with that said, there is another race of people who do not, or shall I say, who are not created in the image and likeness of our creators, nor do they possess the spirit of Tata Nzambi. So where did they come from? Now we know about the story of the fallen who said that they looked upon the daughters of men and desired to make wives. Okay? And so they came and they laid with them. It was lust that these fallen have that they had. In church, when I was growing up in church, they taught us, I don't know about you all, but they taught us in church that the angels had no choice. Mm-hmm. They said they had no choice. They were created to serve, and that's what they were supposed to do, serve. They had no choice. We have a choice, but the angels don't. Now, if these angels had no choice, how is it that they decided to come and lay with daughters of men? That's something that they chose to do. And they had offspring. So the fallen did something and created children. Those children were not created in the image of our creators, nor were they created in the likeness of our creators, and nor do they have the spirit of our Tata Nzambi, Baba Mungu, Sunini Nanini, whichever name you call the creator. So let's get into this. Excuse me.
You need me to move on?
Nah, you good. Stay right where you are. All right. Okay. Again, the God of the Bible is not our creator, but our creator is in the Bible. Who exactly are we not to mix our seed with? And as you see at my background, there's a bunch of mixed seeds. And you know, some of us that eat healthy, we like to
I was saying I'd like to have me some of those right now.
Eat mixed seeds, and you know, so let's get into this. Let me move. There, make it small. All right. So scriptures that talk about seed, and we're going to, you know, I ask that you would forgive me. It's going to be jumping around a little bit on these slides. Please forgive me, but let's, you know, the context is still there. So this is Leviticus 19th chapter, verse 19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Let's pause there. When we look at what this scripture is saying, it's talking about do not mix your animals. What do we have today? We have, Brenda and I used to have a dog that was called a it wasn't a labradoodle. It was a golden doodle, a golden doodle, a golden retriever, and a poodle. They crossbred. This is not what we were supposed to do. And it's telling us right here, do not crossbreed your animals. Then it also says, thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. And when I thought about that thing, I said, they're talking about GMO. Because they took this, a particular seed into a lab and genetically did things to it.
Altered it.
Thank you. Altered it. Much better word. Mm-hmm. And it's telling us that we're not to use these GMO seeds. And a lot of us that do gardening, we know that the GMO seeds will mess up the soil that you plant the seed in. And when the seed grows, when it, you know, you harvest it, it will not produce seed. So you can't get seed from it like you would from an heirloom or a hybrid. And you have to go out and purchase more seed. This is something that Nkosi Kangi and Queen Tamara Ya were talking about earlier before, you know, we started the teaching. These GMO seeds will mess your soil up. Even if you put heirloom or the hybrid seed in that soil where you grew GMO, the seed will not produce. Then it tells us, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen, which is linen and wool, we should not wear. And I was speaking with Mama Brenda, we were talking about this morning, and she had said with the mixing of the linen, polyester and, the mixed linen, it will interfere with your vibration.
It was those, it wasn't a linen. Linen is, we can wear that. It was the linen cotton. It was the polyester. We wear that, it lowers your vibration.
Yes.
And they did. It was somebody had shared it in our group with us. The group of scientists had looked at the different types of actually it was a Jewish guy that did the research on it and discovered how these certain material, when we wear them, they lower our vibration. It's okay. The cotton, which our people wore, the linen, which our people wore, and I think wool was in there, was one that was okay to wear, but all this other polyester stuff that they're making, and the rayon and stuff, it decreases your frequency.
Yes. Thank you. Also, see, I'm sorry, checking chat here.
Exactly.
Yes.
It raises your vibration, your frequency with that. So yes, and it's the same way with the food that we eat as well. So not only what we wear, but what we put in, not just on, but in our body as well. We have to be mindful of that as well.
Looking at the chat, she said it makes sense to wear animal skins. So yes, it does. All right. So Genesis, first chapter, verse 24 and 25. It reads, and I'm gonna read it just as it is in the Bible here. So bear with me. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And what does it say there at the bottom? And God saw that it was good. Okay, so everything is after his kind.
Now I want to go to Leviticus 19 real quick.
Okay.
And look at that. I thought you was going to touch on that.
Go ahead.
Where it talks about the field, how when we was talking about that this morning. Can you guys hear me okay? Because yes. I know my voice be going in and out. Where it says, thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind, thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. What caught my attention was that word field. When he read that scripture to me this morning, and I said, do you know what that means? What it's saying there? See, they be trying to change up stuff and throw up stuff. I said the field is the ground, the earth, which is matter, which is us. So it's basically saying to us, because I know a lot of times in Christianity, they don't realize that this Bible is very esoteric. It has hidden meanings in it, and they take it, from a literal perspective, when really majority of the time it's not. It's hidden messages in there. And so what jumped out at me was that you are not to the field, the matter, we are matter, are not to be mingling our seed. Just like they said, don't mingle the animals and the different type of the wool and linen and so forth. Don't mix and mingle them together. So that alters things, and it changes from its original state. So it's no longer organic. So he was talking about GMOs, which are genetically modified organisms, which they're now calling bioengineered. They have changed it and put it, they're labeling it on food as bioengineered food, but it's the same thing as GMO, which is inorganic, which means not original. So when we begin to mix, it's no longer in its original state as it was created.
Yep, you're gonna get into it. All right. Genesis 1 and 11. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Now, one thing came to me as I was getting myself together this morning. And I told Brenda, I said, every time I'm getting myself together, I said, my Bakulus are speaking to me. And what they said to me is, when you speak to people, with subjects like this, they will automatically say, well, that's racist, and it's like, no, this is not about racism. It's not being racist. First of all, it's about truth. It's about factual. And what we're doing is presenting what the Creator said. This is what we are to stick to. So the next thing they would say is, well, it's love. And we know that this, what can I say? This society talks about love. Love is love. Whoever you love them. And, it shouldn't matter because it's love. God is love. They will tell you that. God is love. It's in the Bible. God is love.
And I was just going to say, in the right context, that's like, if you use that, you could say, well, a man love a child, and that's what they say, and that's why you have these pedophiles and things. In the right context.
my Bakulu said to me, my elevated Bakulu said, the problem with them saying God is love is they don't understand God's love. They don't understand the love of the Creator. When you stick to what he said, what they said, that is love. That's understanding his love. And that's walking in love. When you walk in ma'at, you are walking in love.
I have a question I want to ask everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying not to mix and mingle, the different types of seed. And we have seed. We know that, right? So with them doing this with the animals and different fruits and things, vegetables, and even us people are mixing the seed. Do you all think that is being disrespectful to the Creator that created this order and created the things the way that the Creator wanted it to be? Do you think this is being disrespectful?
I think it is, personally. Because you're basically saying, I don't agree with what you're saying, and I think it's good that we do it this way. I think it's better.
Good. That's good.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think it's very disrespectful because from what I think that what they're doing is they're trying to be the creator by changing things and manipulating things, that they are higher, that they consider themselves higher than the Creator.
Come on.
So
You're
my
right.
opinion.
Anybody else? Share your comments, your thoughts, your insight. So it's like saying what you created is not good enough. I can do better, right? That's what it seems like it's saying. But it's even deeper than that. Especially with them altering fruits and vegetables and
Mhm.
so many different things. It's
And when you look at the behavior of the fallen, and I believe it's in the book of Enoch, they taught these things to the men. They taught them about splicing. Okay. So when you see these things being genetically modified, it's from the fallen. It is something that was taught to them. Now, a lot of people know I love to garden, and there are others on here that garden. And I will use a squash plant, for example. When you grow squash, on the squash plant, you have both the male flower and the female flower. The female flower is a flower. Right up underneath that flower, you will see the fruit. You will see the baby squash. The male flower, you have the flower. Right up underneath that flower is a stem. That's how you tell the difference. Now, that male flower has to pollinate that female flower. So therefore, you either had your bees that come and they do the pollination, taking the pollen from the male flower to the female flower, or you hand pollinate it. And you pick the flower, the male flower, and you put it into the female flower, or use a Q-tip brush, and you just get some of the pollen and you put it in the female flower. That helps the production of that squash, that baby squash underneath the female flower to start growing. When that squash starts growing, the female flower falls off. Her job is done. So you have a baby. And eventually the male flower dies. Okay? So what I'm saying is there's no mixture that's going on there. When you have corn, there's certain corns that you cannot plant next to each other. The reason is corn is pollinated by the wind. So you can have a corn, which is like a popcorn growing, and then the corn that you put on the grill to eat. Those are two different types of corn. If they're growing next to each other, they cross-pollinate. Now, it doesn't affect the corn that's growing, but it affects the seed if you plant the corn. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you have cross-pollinated vegetation, which is what we're not supposed to do. So now, verse 26 might seem a little out of place, but I got it there for a reason. Acts 17th chapter, verse 26, it says, and have made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. The reason I put that scripture in there is because, remember, the creators said, after they had created man, they said, let them have dominion over the earth. One blood, all nations of men. One blood. We are one people.
Common ancestor.
A common ancestor.
We have a common ancestor.
Melanated people. We are one people. as Mama Brenda just said, we have a common ancestor. So we should not be fighting and warring against each other. And the reasons we are is because these other created people have caused confusion, brought in confusion, and made us look at each other through their eyes and got us acting like them. Let's move on. Verse here. Deuteronomy 18th chapter, verses 9 and 14. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Verse 14, for these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee so to do. Yeah, some say diviners, diviners, divination, right? But come on, people.
They do that in the church.
I was just gonna say.
Divining ain't nothing but prophesying. So who put this in the Bible then?
And don't we say that the Most High is divine?
They sing about divine.
Okay. But this is the God of the Bible telling the Israelites that they're going to go and possess a land, which was Canaan. And he was telling them to kill all the inhabitants and was telling them to kill the inhabitants because if you mingle and mix with them, you will be serving idol gods that they are worshiping. Now,
we know who put this, who introduced this in here. When you look at what it's actually saying, we see what's going on. It's very clear and obvious what's going on here.
My brothers and sisters, we, again, we are one people. We are one people. We had no problems living amongst each other.
Until
I was getting there. We had no problems living amongst each other. We communicated with each other. Communicated. That means we understood each other. We lived in peace and harmony. We had no issues until these other people came into the land that were not created by our Creator.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
Now, Queen V, I would like to ask this question, and even Mama Brenda had chimed in on this when I was talking to her. There are a lot of words in the different languages, and all I'm asking is for confirmation. There are a lot of different words in our different cultures, our different
the different African,
yes,
they have
and a lot of these words sound similar, but they have that same meaning. Am I correct?
100%.
Okay. Matondo. You want to say something? Okay. I said that because we communicated and we knew who the Creator was.
Now, I do want to say something now. because you made a good point where you said we communicated, and the way we're acting now with one another on the continent and even abroad, we didn't act in this manner. We're not saying there wasn't quarrels and, fighting. There's always fighting amongst family. We know that. So we understand that. But to the magnitude to what it is today, where you're killing your own people for the sake of, money, it's causing war in your own land and amongst your own people to the level that it is today, that was not known amongst our ancestors to that magnitude. And so you was talking about the commonality of the language. And we know that in ancient Kemet, there's a commonality with ancient Kemet language, which they call, well, anyway, there's a commonality there with the Bantu language, and not only the Bantu languages, but other African languages, which shows, that proves, if there's a commonality then amongst the language, then there's a commonality amongst the people.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And so different groups have proven how their ancestors came from Kemet, and they showed the connection of their language to the language in Kemet. So there's a commonality there. It might not be exactly the same, but it's similar, showing a commonality. Our people went up and down that Nile Valley, up in the Nile River, up and down. When you see how it flows, the start of it all the way up to Kemet, they went all up and down that area. And you mean to tell me that you saying that it was the European and the current Arabs that occupied and created that space when they know that those people came up and down that Nile River? Well, how come they ain't further down then where it originated? That's a question I want to pose to them. How come? Because we know that they followed the Nile River. How come you are not down there where it originated? Because what I see down there is nothing but melanated people.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to look at this word nations. All right. And let's see what it says. This is our favorite Merriam-Webster definition of nations. The first one, it says nationality. Now I'll just read through it. Nationality, a politically organized nationality. In the Bible, a non-Jewish nationality. Jews don't consider themselves a nation. Just to throw that out. A community of people composed of one or more nationalities and possessing a more or less defined territory and government. A territorial division containing a body of people of one or more nationalities and usually characterized by relatively large size and independent status. All right, let's go on. Etymology. I can't talk. Etymology of nation. Circa 1300, nation, a race of people, large group of people with common ancestry and language.
Ah, there you have it. Commonality and ancestry. There you have it.
Come on, people. Come on, my brothers and sisters. Know who you are. Know who we are. We're one. We're the original. From old French nation, birth, rank, descendants, relatives, country, homeland, and directly from Latin natium, nominative natio, birth, origin, breed, stock, kind, or kindred, species, race of people. Look at this, tribe. Don't you know that we're the only people who have tribes?
That they call, yeah.
Literally, that which has been born from natus, past participle of nashi, be born. From pi root gene, give birth, beget. So they're talking about the genes here, the DNA, with derivatives referring to procreation and familial and tribal groups.
And you talking about gene and DNA, when you look at certain haplogroups, it's one particular haplogroup. It's all over Africa. Don't matter what tribe, what group you from, where you from, it's all over Africa, all over Africa. I'm like, when I saw them, like, well, my goodness, there's some relation there.
The word is used in English in a broad sense, a race of people, an aggregation of persons of the same ethnic family and speaking the same language. Remember when I was talking about us living together? And also in the narrower sense, a political society composed of a government and subjects or citizens and constituting a political unit, an organized community inhabiting a defined territory within which its sovereignty is exercised. We lived together, speaking the language. We got along with each other. We understood each other. But the God of the Bible was telling the Israelites to go in and kill all these other nations. We lived amongst them. Oh my goodness. I hope this is making sense here. So let's look at the word heathen and what it means in the Old Testament. The term heathen is an earlier interpretation of the Hebrew word going in the Old Testament. The word going actually meant nations and could apply broadly to all the nations of the world. In other contexts, the word was used to specify other nations from Israel, the people of God. In such situations, the heathen were non-Jewish idolaters who did not believe in the one true God. However, the meaning of the word heathen changed in the New Testament with the new covenant in JC. Doesn't the Bible tell us that God never changes? He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Never changes. But this word heathen changed after JC came. Although there is a distinction between the nation of Israel and the Gentile, new word there. Gentile people in the Old Testament, Gentile were the nations, the goyim, just to let you know, according to them. Many scriptures prophesize the unifying of all nations under Christ the Messiah. All the nations, I want y'all to see this. All the nations you have made shall come and worship before you, O Lord, and shall glorify your name. And you see what I have highlighted there in red? All the nations you have made. Remember I told y'all that the Creator said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. There were so many of us. When you look at the Bible, you see the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Israelites, the Jebusites, you got all these ites. You see them. And guess what? They look like me. They look like me. melanated, made in the image and likeness of our creators. I'm trying to get you to see something here. Made in the image and likeness of our creator, which means they have the spirit of Tata Nzambi. They have the spirit. And it says here, all the nations you have made. They did not make these other people. Remember, the fallen did. They're trying to insert themselves by saying Jesus came and said all nations, everybody can come to God, but you must come through me. That is a lie. And when it says that they shall come and worship before you, O Lord, do we worship our Father? Do you worship your earthly father? Do you worship your parents?
We honor and revere them.
We honor and we revere them.
That's what they're calling worship.
Yes. They twist everything of ours. They twist everything of ours because the spirit is not in them. They do not have truth. They don't. I'm just being downright honest. They don't have truth. They will tell you what they think the Bible is saying. They'll tell you what they think the Creator said. They tell you what they think, but they don't know. And they got so many of us messed up because of the Bible. And they got preachers out preaching this Bible. I did it myself. I preached the Bible and preached the lies. Yes, sir, in Kosi Kangi.
So since they, like to put their little twist and twist things, how much can we really give their concordances that they came up with, their Bible concordances, because we know they come up with them?
Again, it's their thought. It's their interpretation. So we got to go back.
You just got to be very careful.
Yes. Mama Brenda said you have to be very careful. We have to go back to our culture, go back to the people and look at how our people on the continent, how they are. The Bible is about us. We know this, but we have to go back to our culture in order to understand it. And some may say, well, how do we go back to our culture? They hide a lot. When you start doing research, Googling and all this, they hide so much. One of the best answers I can give is if you can connect with someone on the continent, know someone that is maybe on your job that's from Africa, something, and talk to them and ask them about the culture. They can enlighten you more than what the Bible can.
Or start getting books written by, melanated people of from African descent, that tell about who we are in our culture, because we're going to tell the truth of who we are.
Yes.
They have lied so much and hid so much till what they write, they have to write it in such a manner to continue to perpetuate the lies that they have told throughout all these centuries. And so, Brother Randa, in lieu of your question, we have to be mindful of that when we're reading anything that they write. Mm-hmm. Just like the Bible has some truth in it, some of theirs may have a little truth up in there. You may find a little nugget of truth that they have up in there. And they do. Sometimes they tell the truth, but a lot of times, a lot of it is lies. So we just have to be mindful of that and be very careful when we're reading their literature.
Yes. And to answer the question in the chat, where did the name Jewish come from? They're trying to that name came from Yaoundé. Okay. And yeah, Mama Brenda said they perverted it, and they did. Now, let's break that down. When you look at the last three letters of that word, ish, that means similar. It means like. All right. And I like that word like. And I'm gonna tell you why I like it. Because I read in our teaching, the God of the Bible is not our creator, but the creator is in the Bible. I read the scripture where it says that Satan or the devil, whichever one they use, said, I will ascend above the clouds and be like the Most High. Okay. And it stated that, be like the Most High. So you have the children of the fallen that's pretending to be us, Yaoundé. So they're saying we're going to be like Yaoundé. So by them taking Yuda or Yaoundé and they say Jews, Jewish, they're trying to be like us. That's where that comes from.
And it came about, I think, in the 17th century is actually when that word came about, they said. In the 1700s, I think it is. Yeah. I'm gonna check that out, but I think it was the 17. If anybody know for sure, I think it was in the 1700s when they created it.
Is that 4th century? Because you know a lot of stuff came out during that time.
No, that was way back before then.
All right. So now we're going to look at this word bastard, definition of bastard. I told you all, jumping around on these slides, so forgive me, but we're still sticking with the context. Bastard, an illegitimate child, but not necessarily a child born out of wedlock. The term could refer to offspring of an incestuous union or of a marriage that was prohibited. All right. Illegitimate children were not permitted to enter the assembly of the Lord. Deuteronomy 23 and 2. According to Hebrews, those who do not have the discipline of the Lord are illegitimate children, also translated as a mongrel people. Now, when I read that one part, it said, according to Hebrews, those who do not have the discipline of the Lord are illegitimate children. That, the Lord, of course, is the Most High, our creators, who do not have the discipline of the Creator. What is the discipline? The discipline is just plainly 42 laws of my eye. Bottom line. Those who do not have the 42 laws of my eye are illegitimate children. Now, let me just say something there. I said in the teaching, the God of the Bible is not our creator, but the creator is in the Bible. I said in that teaching that we who are created in the image and likeness of our creators were created with the 42 laws of my eye. It's in us. We just have to activate it. We didn't know it was in us because it was never taught to us. They gave us 10 commandments, which they twisted. The 42 laws of Ma'at is in us. This is why we cannot kill animals and think nothing of it. This is why we cannot kill each other. We don't have that heart to kill each other. But we do it now because we have been living amongst them and took on their nature, their behavior, their mentality. They taught us to be like them, these other created people.
You know, speaking of which, I'm gonna start here in America first, and then I'm gonna take it back home to Africa. They said the average age of ancestor of ours that was taken off the continent was 14 years old. That's the average age. There were some that was a little older in the 20s, but the average age was 14. A child. So when you take a child, you can shape that child into being, into thinking what you want the child to think, to be what you want that child to be. Just think about this. All these years, generation after generation after generation, I'm the 7th generation from the research that I've done of an ancestor of mine that was taken off the continent of Africa. I'm the 7th generation. I have kids and I have grandkids. So there's 9 generations. So can you imagine the alteration in the thinking, as he was saying, and the behavior that have taken place? Now, on the continent, what we have been told and what we have also read is that when they came over there, they took the children and put them in their schools and would tell them that the way of their parents, you know, is not right. Or, you know, if they don't speak the English language or whatever, you know, they're not intelligent. So they always take the children so that they can shape their minds and mold their minds. Nothing different today. They use a TV and they're using it and social media to shape the minds of how they want the next generation to be, so that they can benefit however they feel that they can benefit. So yes, we have taken on upon ourselves their ways, some of their wicked ways.
You know, and also when I looked at this, where it says, according to Hebrews, those who do not have the discipline of the Lord are illegitimate children. There was a scripture. I don't know if I have it in my in the PowerPoint here, but I've just pulled it up. It's Deuteronomy 22nd chapter, verses 6 through 7. This didn't make sense to me. And if anybody can help me make sense, please help me make sense of this. Okay, please. It reads, if a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way, in any tree or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young, but thou shalt in any wise let the dam go, and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days. Now, help me. Why do I want to mess with a bird nest? A bird's nest, the mother bird sitting on top of the eggs or with her young. Why do I want to shoo the mother bird away and take the eggs or take the young and go my way? If the nest is on the ground or if the nest is in a tree, Why? What business is it of mine to mess with? Help me. Am I missing something?
No, that's not making sense to me.
I'm asking an honest question. I don't get it. Now, what that reminds me of is these other people coming into our land, taking us off the land,
Getting the young.
getting the young.
Now, that does make sense.
That Bible is very coded. I told you it has some esoterical hidden messages in it. So yeah.
Yeah, which also gave them permission to do what they did,
Yes.
taking us off the land and taking our children.
Yes. And see what they did with it was they wrote it in such a way till when people look at it, they think it's okay. Because they have written it down saying, oh, this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
Thinking it will excuse, their behavior and things.
Yeah.
But they don't realize, well, you know what? It's very you can tell that they don't really believe in the creator. Because everything is recorded. And they are going to be judged. All of us are going to be judged. Mm-hmm. And they do things as if it doesn't matter to them.
As if the creator does not even exist.
Exactly. That's why I said earlier on before we started, they have no regard for the creator nor the things of the creator. They go around and they destroy everything. Everything.
They don't know the creator, and the creator does not know them.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that.
And that's what I was saying, because the creator did not create them.
Nope.
Thank you. Matondo, Queen. She said it is written to legitimize genocide.
So that goes against my aunt. And we know and we are learning about the principles of Ma'at and Ubuntu. And so with us learning those things, we can look and easily tell in the Bible now when things are just off kilter, that is not right. Like, no, this is not of the creator. This is something that has been interjected. You can look and tell that no.
Yeah, because I read through that verse from Deuteronomy 1, up through verse 7, I think is where it ended. And it was talking about helping your fellow brother, okay? Helping your neighbor. That's what it was talking about. But that scripture was out of place. You see a bird's nest, whether it's on the ground or in a tree, and the mother bird is sitting on there nesting.
Take the young. Lead the old. That's what they did.
Yes.
They did that on the continent of Africa. They took all the young.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
brought them over here into the Americas and the Caribbeans and all. Hey.
And brainwashed them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta read that book. I haven't read it yet. My son read it though, and my friend, The Miseducation of the Negro.
Yeah.
So now the other thing that word that stuck out to me was when it's said here, also translated as a mongrel people. And I said, I need to see what that is. Mongrel. So here it is. A dog of no definable type or breed. I heard you laughing.
Oh, as soon as I read a dog, I already knew who you were talking about.
Any animal resulting from the crossing of different breeds or types.
Ah, there you have it.
I need y'all to look at this and pay attention, please.
Mixed up seed. Yeah.
Mm.
A person of mixed descent.
Mm.
This is not Nzambi making this up.
This is a definition.
This is a definition.
Mhm.
An individual resulting from the interbreeding of diverse breeds, especially one of unknown ancestry.
As you say,
Unknown.
well,
That is unknown.
And we ask the question, where do they come from?
that's the golden question. That is the golden question.
And the last definition, a cross between types of persons or things.
You know, somebody sent me a video. I don't know if it was Tabitha or Vita or I don't know. I can't remember. I get stuff, or maybe it was in the group. I get stuff from everywhere. People sending here and groups I'm in, but it was Dr. Layla, I think his name, Layla Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he asked that question. I said, I gotta listen to this. He said, Europeans have studied all other ethnic groups, know about them and their history and their culture, have written about them, but nobody has studied and researched the history and the culture of them and where they came from. He said, where from? Came from somewhere. He says, "Oh, we're gonna look at this and see where did they come from." I said, "Yeah, he's right. They done studied everybody. Well, not everybody, but certain groups like us, Africans, the Native Americans. They studied down in the Mexican area. So it's certain group, the originals, and I don't like saying aboriginal because when you research that word ab, I looked at that and found that I'm like, oh, I'm not calling nobody aboriginal after learning of this. The indigenous people over in Australia.
Yeah.
But you don't really see much research and information and documentation out there about them and their culture. And I saw on, I think it was a TikTok video. This Asian guy was braiding up this Asian girl hair like we braid out. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But for the most part, Asians don't even like us for the most part now. I'm not saying all, but for the most part. And this is what I don't understand. My brain cannot process why they and the Europeans as a whole copy everything that we do, but yet you don't like us. I don't get it. So I want to be like you. So my brain can't process why you copy everything we do. Our dances, our music, our hair. They going around trying to get afros.
Yes.
Trying to get darker, sitting out in the sun, getting scared. I can't wrap my brain around that.
Injecting their lips.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Uh-huh.
They have no culture, so they have to try to imitate and take another person's culture because they have nothing.
That's it.
So that's why they imitate us, and that's why they study us. You can't study them because they have nothing.
Nothing.
No
But
culture.
why would they want to emulate somebody that they that's my question, that they supposedly hate?
They don't supposedly hate us, but they are also jealous of
Thank
us.
you. That's what I was waiting to hear. It is an extreme form of jealousy. I want your place. What
Right.
we read in the Bible, you all. I want your place, and I'm going to take it by any means necessary. And that is what they did. They set out to take the position of the melanated man by any means necessary. And because of that, we got to take back what has been taken from us. Guess what? By
Any means necessary. But you also have to remember what the definition says. They are a cross between types of persons or things. The word is types.
Yes.
They're not original anything.
No.
They are a type of.
So they're hybrids of whatever.
Yes.
They are hybrid. Yes, they are hybrid. They are GMO.
There you go.
inorganic. Inorganic.
There you go. And you know, talking with Brenda about this earlier, she said to me, she said, and it's other races, you know, the Asians and, you know, Japanese and, you know, just all of them. See, we need to be sticking with our own. This is what the Creator was showing us in the beginning. Stick with your own. Don't mix.
Let me share something with
Stay in your lane.
what our people
Yes.
don't seem to understand. Look at the Chinese people. Look at the Japanese people. Yeah, they tried to harass them, but you know what? They stood together. And look at China now. But us, you get somebody a $10 bill, they'll rat you out.
Oh, yeah.
Our problem is actually the solution to our situation, and that is unification.
So let me ask you. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's way more of us than they. And I told Ms. Zombie, if just half of us, if just half of the melanated people would just come together, can you imagine what we can accomplish, what we can do? When I said it's like it's a very small, minute portion in America of the Jewish people, very small portion. And them as a whole, period, in comparison to melanated people. Look at what they have accomplished when they are minute in comparison to our number. Well, so you all, where we come from. We're begging for crumbs. We're eating crumbs. Just because we don't know who we are. That's another problem right there. And it's greed. Listening to what they have been doing in Malawi, and it was another place too that did that. I think it was Kenya did it as well. They took what, 6 million from the Israeli government, sent their people over there to slave for them, and they just get $1,000 a month, and they gotta have a place to stay, food to eat, all their expense. What? I think it was 6 or 60 million. I can't remember. It's sold their people out. Modern day slavery for greed. You see our problem? When
That's a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think our division and the reason why we're not in the reason why we are not unified, operating in the spirit of Ubuntu, is it because of the education that they because of what they taught us in the schools?
the programming. That's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it. And we have to understand that this has been going on for years. For years.
Yeah.
So he got all this money selling out his people when he could have been wiser and negotiated to the point to where his people could benefit significantly from that situation. But no, he had to sell them out for his greed. It's crazy. Ubuntu, not see, our problem is we don't follow our principles. So as long as we don't follow the principles that our ancestors follow, Ma'at and Ubuntu, we're going to continue to be in this state that we're in. We're going to continue to be in the state that when you I remember talking to this young man that I went to school with. He has his own business, finance business, and he does something with professional athletes and stuff, whatever. He done made it and everything, the quote unquote, the American life, the American dream. And I was telling him how we haven't made it. We have not succeeded and done anything really to bring ourselves up out of where we were. We're still in the same state. We have just been actually given a facade. We don't have really true freedom. And just because he is looking at a few handful of people that supposedly made it, including himself, yeah, we have made it. I said, I'm looking at the whole. I'm not just looking at a few handful of people, and that's just how my brain operates. When you look at us as a whole, we still at the bottom, at the low end of the totem pole. After all these years, after all this marching, ancestors being killed, bombed, hanged for protesting, we still on the
bottom.
Somebody say it. I can't remember who it was. He said, if anybody should be free and on top and thriving and surviving, it should be Black folks with all the praying we have been doing. But yet we still on the bottom. So something's wrong with that picture.
Praying to the wrong God.
Didn't the God of the Bible say, kill those who are serving other gods, or they'll have you serving other gods?
Yes.
All right. I ain't gonna say no more. I ain't saying nothing. Okay. So moving on. And this may be the last slide here. Again, going back to definition of bastard. In the Old Testament, children were considered a bastard if their mother was a non-Israelite heathen, regardless of whether their father was an Israelite or not. Easton's Bible Dictionary defines the biblical term bastard as being synonymous with the word polluted. In Deuteronomy 23, the term is used to simply mean offspring that are illegitimate.
So V, in our culture, what is an illegitimate child?
Well, in principle, I guess a child that's born out of wedlock. Yeah.
We didn't hear you.
I was saying a child that's born out of wedlock.
Okay. Is that current or something of antiquity also?
So you could say it's something of antiquity. Although, I mean, depending on the different cultures, I think the treatment of an illegitimate child could differ. So it may not be as strictly, dealt with depending on the different cultures. But generally, I think a child is born before the necessary rights are actually going to be put together.
Because I know in our culture, what she's alluding to is when a woman is not married, like if somebody come and have sex with them, they're not married, go through the different rights or processes of what they did for a marriage, you defile them. Like when you rape somebody,
Right.
that's so they're defiled. So if a child come out of that, or it doesn't have to be a rape, then that's an illegitimate child.
So that's
not
like,
with what they're saying here.
so that's like they considered Shaka Zulu to be illegitimate.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's where I think the problem came in with them.
Okay. Does it also mean that they don't have rights? They don't have a right to the birthright? They can't inherit the birthright?
I would think that's correct. You know, again, because they're considered illegitimate. So, yeah, I would think that was correct. So,
So just like you say, yeah, just going back on from what I remember from reading and watching on Shaka, the other brother after the father died was they were making him king, and Shaka had to go in and take it.
yes. Exactly. So the thing is, and again, this is not Bana Nzambi saying this. I pulled it from scripture, and what I shared with you was what the Creator said, that we should not be mixing. When he called for the creation of the animals and the seeds, the grass and the fruit trees, and having the seeds within itself, everything, itself mating with each other, that is the Creator. So he's all about keeping things pure. That's why he said it was good. That's why they said that. It was good. When they saw it, it was good because it was pure. And so they're telling us, keep ourselves pure. We have the seed. The man has the seed. The female has the egg. So when the male, gets with the female, it should be the female who looks like us.
And that was also a part in the 1800s of their plan to destroy the black man. There was a video some years ago that I found where they were talking about this in the 1800s, where they were saying, mate with them so that they can be mixed, and then have them marry someone that's of a lighter, that's white, the mix, to it's the point till you breathe them out. They were successful in doing this in other countries. They tried to do it in America, but for whatever reason, it didn't work with us over here. But our people that was in other parts of the diaspora, they were successful in, I think it was not Venezuela, I'm sorry. I mean, what is that?
Argentina.
Yes, that was one, and then plus they put the men on the line in front in Argentina and killed them off. And it was another one, but they were successful in doing that, and to the point to where they eradicated them. So basically, it's an annihilation of your people when you do that. So to me, it's self-genocide when you do this. That's what it is. And Siba Malonga was talking about this. He was doing a teaching. And he actually said it's an abomination. And he was saying how the children are confused, which they are. Our son, he has a friend that is mixed. Mother is white, father is black. And I asked him, I said, how do you identify? They talk with him like this, and they was talking. So I just interjected and said, how do you identify? And he said, black. I said, oh, okay. He said, that's what they say I am. I said, no. Don't go by what people say you are. I said, it's what you identify as. That's what matters, what you identify. And he said, like my father, black. I said, oh, okay. but usually they're confused and they don't fit in. That you will see them oftentimes saying, especially when they were younger, that the white people didn't accept them because they were too dark, and the black people didn't accept them because they were too light. They didn't fit in nowhere. So they went in life trying to figure out who they are, where do I fit in, confusion. And the Bible says that the creator is not the author of confusion. A lot of them are like that. They're confused. They don't know who they are. And then not only that, when you begin to research, you'll see how you'll see how they use the mixed breed against the indigenous people. They did this back in Kemet. So it's used as a weapon of war as well.
Exactly.
Like the colors in South Africa.
Exactly.
Yes,
This
sir.
it's a tactic of
Yes,
theirs.
sir. Yes. So I want to say, you know, that's it. I'm done, you know, with the slides and the teaching. But I do want to put this out there. Nzambi is not attacking anyone that is mixed. Please understand. I am not attacking you. All right. I'm just giving enlightenment. Because again, in today's society, they have said, and they're continuing to teach us, love is love. If you love somebody and they love you back and you want to be with them, you want to marry, do it. What they're teaching you is disregard what the creator said. That doesn't matter. What matters is, how do you feel? What do you want to do? I think it was Crowley, Alex, yes, Alexter.
Oh,
Crowley.
do as I feel.
He said, do as I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what is in society today.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Sounds satanic.
He is, because he was a Satanist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're teaching is today's society. Do what feels good to you. So they're telling you disregard what the creator said. If you love that person, if that person don't look like you, marry them. It don't matter if they love you back. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have issues out of somebody's family.
Mm-hmm.
It causes problems. And then when a child is born, that child has problems, not only with some of the family members, but even in society.
And now then you done messed it up with your ancestors.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
because
I'm just speaking frank. Okay. I'm just speaking frank. So we have to do as the creator said. Stick with your own. I love you. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I just see it as a annihilation of your own self. You know, if you want to produce somebody that look like you, then you have to get with somebody that look like you. To me, my personal opinion, to me, it has to do with self-love a lot of times. You know, because I remember telling my son, I said, I can't tell you who to get with or who to love or whatever, but I do want you to know if you get somebody that don't look like me, I said, to me, that's disrespectful to me. Somebody that look like me is not good enough to you. That's, to me, that's what I feel like. So if you want to produce you, a little you, or you know what I'm saying, produce somebody like you, then you get with your own people. That's what procreation is. And the Most High, you know, have different people that was created or whatever for a reason, and you just need to procreate with that and keep the order of things. Isn't that what Ma'at is about? Balance and order. So, for instance, my brother married a Native American, and he has 2 children that are mixed. The oldest got with another Native American, and I shared this before. If I show you her children, you were like, those are not your niece and nephew. She has a boy and a girl. Those are not your niece and nephew because they look, you don't see no black in them whatsoever. I mean, they have some, you see the features of like my brother and my mom, because my brother looks a lot like my mom, and I could look like, oh man, but you have to know my mom and him to know that. Other than that, you would think that they're just Native Americans. No features. Now his son is having a child so his African lineage is over, so to speak. See what I'm saying? Because he only had those two. And they went back. So now they procreating into their mother's side. And that's what's producing and coming forth. Because they went back producing from there. Unless one of them go back and start, reverse it and go back the other order. So, but to each his own. I just want me. I like me. I love me. I love what I see. I love my people. And because of that, then we need to produce more of us. If that's just the way I see it.
So,
and you're right. Don't taint the seed.
Exactly.
Nzambi was talking about how he the mixing of the breeds of the dogs and things, and we had a golden doodle, and the golden doodle stayed sick, and I started researching on them, and I found out that they said majority of these mixed breed dogs that are mixed, they have genetic disease. They have a lot of illness and sicknesses. So
they're kind of like inferior because their original genetics has been tampered with.
Yeah. It's not, that's not supposed to happen. So they said that those dogs have a lot of illness, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. So we having to buy medicine for this dog, take him to the vet, had to rush and take him to the doggy ED one time.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah. So the purebreds are hear me out, you all, the purebred. We look at and say, oh, these golden doodles and these what is the other one? The other doodle, the labradoodles. Oh, they're so pretty. Oh, they look good on the outside, you all. Hear me out now. Listen to what I'm saying.
It's like they come up with a hairless cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, at least with the pure breed or purebred, we know of their ancestry.
Yes.
And V made a good point, all of Asia, and it was. As a matter of fact, part of Asia used to be considered Africa, but it used to be Black. That is why you see they have the word Ngoy. They have a lot of our words, African words over there in Asia. A lot of our culture is in Asia. So you have to ask yourself, how did all this get over there? How is their language? And I was reading an article where it was this guy from Africa, from West Africa, I think Ghana, somewhere in Ghana, I think. He was talking, and the guy heard some of his language, and he was like, he was from Japan, I think. I think it was from Japan, and he was just dumbfounded that some of the words were similar to their words. And it's like that in China, in Asia, period. The first Asian dynasty was created by Blacks. They know this. But look at them now. They have been breaded down. And when you see the ones that have been breaded out, they don't like the originals. And that's just the truth of the matter. They don't like the originals.
So I'm gonna say this, my original brothers and sisters. Let us remain pure. Let us remain original and, return to who we truly are. We're not supposed to be mixing anything. And let us maintain that. And as I often say, let us restore Ma'at, because that's what we're created with. Let
That's
us
right.
restore Ma'at. Okay, she said, we have also been tainted with food that is not indigenous to us, so that has weakened us as well.
Yeah, we talked about that before you came on, Mama Doris, how it's not only we was talking about what you put on in the different clothing, what they that article that was shared by Gigi in the group, how it decrease your frequency. It's not what you only put on, but what you put in also decrease your vibration, your frequency.
Exactly.
So yes.
So again, family, I love you. I do. I love you. And again, I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just sharing what has been given me to share. We got to come back. We got to return. We got to be pure. So with that said, you all be increased. And until next time, make Tata Nzambi, Mama Ndombe, and your elevated Bakulu of the light continue to pour into you and to enlighten you, to open your eyes and to speak to you, and that you turn and walk upright before them and return to Ma'at. Love you. Basseh, Basseh, Basseh.
Basseh, Basseh.